Hi everybody, and welcome to The Courageous Chick. I'm Shakia Mayer, and in this video we are going to talk about perspective, how your perspective can help you through difficult times. I was inspired to talk about this topic as I was watching the movie Roxanne Roxanne, which is on Netflix. Now listen, my mom is a huge hip-hop fan, so is my boyfriend, so I'm familiar with a lot of artists and music during that era, during the 80s era. And I was super excited when this movie hit Netflix, but I didn't watch it, guys. I didn't watch it. And I was in the house just like everybody else. And I was scrolling through Netflix trying to figure out what I wanted to watch because I wanted to watch something. And I came across Roxanne Roxanne and I said, oh, you know what? Let me watch it since I hadn't watched it before. And I enjoyed the movie. However, it was definitely difficult to watch. For those of you that have watched it, how was that for you? Because for me, it was really challenging to sit there and watch all of these experiences that this young girl had to endure. So what makes Roxanne Shanté so special is because, one, she was an awesome lyricist. She was an awesome rapper. And she was also 14 when she did her first track. And she recorded her first song in the middle of doing laundry. Like in between her laundry load, she was washing her mother's clothes, and in between she recorded the song and it became huge. It was on the radio, and that is what helped to take her career to the next level. Before that, in the movie, we see that she was already known as the champ. She was already, rhyming and things like that, and respected. And so again, super excited to see this movie because she's definitely underrated, and a lot of people, I feel, now aren't as familiar with her, and it's unfortunate because she truly opened the doors for a lot of artists that you are familiar with. So anyway, I'm watching this, and again, it was a good story. However, it was difficult to watch because she's 14, 15. She's a teenage mom. She was in an abusive relationship with a much older man. At one point, she moves out of her mom's house after her mother, isn't very present. So Shanté becomes parentified. We see her taking care of her siblings. We see her doing their hair and making sure they get to school, helping them with their homework, cleaning around the house, making their meals. We see all of that. Her mom becomes disengaged after her mother's boyfriend ran off with the mother's money, like her life savings. They were planning on getting a house, and he took off with all of her money. And so we see some of the difficulties that Shanté has, and there is this tension between her and her mom. So, she moves out at one point. She moves into like a basement room, and again, this guy tries to take advantage of her. She endured so much trauma, and it was sad to watch that there was nobody in her corner. Even the people in her camp weren't really there for her. They weren't giving her the money she deserved. They were trying to cut her out of deals. They weren't allowing her to be the artist that she wanted to be. And so there was nobody who had her back. Nobody. And I'm sure, based off of what we watched in this movie, there were a lot of dark days. But your perspective is what is going to help you through the difficulties. So I was watching this interview with Roxanne Shanté, and it came out around the same time the movie Roxanne Roxanne hit Netflix. And the interviewer asked Shanté, why did you leave rap? Like, why did you walk away? And she said, because I wasn't getting royalty checks. I found out that that was a thing, and I wasn't getting it. And at that point, I said, you know what? I'm done with this. Forget it. I'm walking away. Now, she could have walked away. She could have wasted away. She could have not done anything with her life and focused on how she was done wrong in the past. But that's not what she did. Instead, she used that experience to help her better negotiate in the future, but also use that experience to say, you know what, I still gotta grind. I still have to make money. You know, she was a teenage parent, so she had a child to take care of. And that's what I appreciated about the film and about her story now, where she is now. Because she said, if I did get the money, all the money that was owed to me, if I got it when I was supposed to have it, I don't know how I would have turned out. I don't know how the situation would have unfolded. She said, I could have gotten high. Think about it. This was during the 80s. That's known as the crack epidemic, right? So she said, I could have gotten high. She could have became an alcoholic. We see in the movie that her mom drinks excessively. She could have endured all these different types of situations. She may have not had that hustle spirit to keep going after a dream and to make sure that she was able to provide for her and her son. And so she was grateful that she's receiving the money that she's receiving now versus then. And it's her perspective, it's her attitude on the situation that allowed her to still be able to prosper now. Does that make sense? I feel like I might be talking in a circle, but I hope you're following me. It's because of her attitude, because of how she viewed the situation, she was able to move forward instead of staying in a victim place and blaming everybody for her circumstances. Because that's what tends to happen. A lot of people, when they endure challenges and hardships and adversity, some people stay in that victim role. Woe is me. Oh, only bad things happen to me. Nobody cares about me. Nobody's there for me. Nobody loves me. How am I ever going to make something of myself? I can't make something of myself. Oh, my mother was a teenage parent. My father wasn't there for me. I was a teenage parent. Because these are some of the factors that played a part in her life. Now, she could have stayed in that woe is me place. She could have stayed in that victim place, but she didn't, because her mindset was, I still need to be a provider for my son. Her mindset was, well, you know what? It didn't work out then, and that's okay. It is what it is. I cannot go back and change it. I can't change what already happened. So I need to accept what happened, and now I need to move forward. Her perspective, the way that she viewed the situation was important, because that's what allowed her to move forward instead of staying stuck and instead of replaying the same old tape, that same old story. How many of you replay the same story over and over and over again about all the things you weren't able to do because of X, Y, and Z? About you not being the person you want to be because of X, Y, and Z. When you change how you view the situation changes. Your current situation changes. But if you stay focused on the past and what you didn't have, you will notice that you literally feel stuck, because you are. Mentally and emotionally, you are stuck. And it will be very difficult for you to prosper and very difficult for you to manifest the type of life that you deserve if you are stuck. So be mindful of your perspective. Be mindful of how you view your world, because your thoughts are going to create your world. And I know a lot of people say, Shakia, this is some woo-woo talk. You're always talking this woo-woo stuff. Shakia, you always are talking about manifestation and your thoughts create your reality, but that's not true. But it is true. And there's science to back it up. Because we know your thoughts have a lot to do with your subconscious, or your subconscious rather has a lot to do with your thoughts. And so the things that you think about over and over and over again, the things that you ruminate on, even in the subconscious, that will manifest itself, because it's sending messages to the brain on what to do, how to act, where to go, what to say. And if the message that the brain is receiving is, you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim, this bad thing happened to you, this bad thing happened to you, nobody's there for you, nobody loves you, guess what? That's how you're going to proceed. So even though that movie was tough to watch, because I hated the fact that nobody was there for her, that nobody was in her corner. Look, stuff happens, and sometimes it's real messed up what happens to people. And yet it doesn't have to stop your life from moving forward. It doesn't have to define you. It can help shape some of who you are. But that's why it's important to work through a lot of the trauma, work through some of these horrible experiences. Because if you don't, you stay stuck in that victim role. And look, we all move around from all these different roles from time to time. But again, if you're stuck in the victim role and that's the only role you know, then it's going to be very hard for you to become the unstoppable, courageous chick, the unstoppable, courageous person that I know you are. So just remember that your perspective, or how you view the world, your attitude about life and the experiences you endure, has a lot to do with where your life will go, with the direction that you take. You can either view your problems as that's it, as final, or you can look at them and say, I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to grow from this. And as you work on yourself, you won't let that stop you. That won't be your only story. We have to get out of that place where the unfortunate things that happen maybe around us or to us becomes our only story. You're much more than that piece. Your life is so much greater than some of the challenges that you have. Does that make sense? I don't want you to take it as me minimizing anything, because I'm not. I understand that there are some situations that are extremely horrible and messed up. Like I said, watching that movie as an example, there were things that this young girl, again, 14, 15, she didn't ask to be in those situations. She didn't want to be in those situations. And yet those were the situations she was in. So what do? You either say, oh my God, all of these things keep happening to me, or you change your mindset, shift your perspective, and you figure out how to move forward. You are a change maker. You are a leader. You are ambitious. You have so much potential. Do not allow the past stories, the past traumas to dictate where you are now. Don't allow it to stop you or limit you from moving forward, because you can move forward. And so I realized this video might be a little heavier than some of my other videos, but that was because I feel like this movie was a little heavier. So if you haven't watched it, I would say, watch it and then maybe watch some of her current interviews, so that it does, because the movie kind of ends on, they try and end it on a better note, but it's not like the most joyous note. But definitely watching some of her interviews, I imagine that you will be inspired by her story, because it's not just one of, I struggled and I gave up. It's, I had this, this is what I experienced, and this is how I'm using my experiences now. This is how I'm using my voice to educate people and help people now. So I don't want this video to be super long, but let me know in the comments how you have worked to shift your perspective, and what are some of the things that you have done to shift your perspective and change your mindset. And also let me know what you thought of the movie Roxanne Roxanne. Listen, every time I say it, I just want to bust out into a rap, but y'all don't want to hear that or see me dance. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. Remember your perspective, how you view your world, because it's your world. How you view your world will determine what's in your world. Your thoughts create your reality. Remember that. So I want you to shift your perspective if you're going through a difficult time, and not stay focused on a place of not stay focused on woe is me. Shift the perspective, acknowledge and identify what's going on and what you're experiencing, and now how can you start to move forward? How can you grow from it? What can you learn? what can you take away from the experience? All right, that is all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that something resonated with you. As always, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to talking to you again. I hope that you have a courageous day, and I will talk to you all real soon. Bye.